Teresa Cooper Mitchell, Perceptions of People with Disabilities. We have a tendency to exclude or banish things that we have a limited knowledge of. Society has created phobias where there is no phobia. Unless society declares it normal, we have a distinct fear of it. As recently as 1975, Psychology Today, a popular medical guide, quotes various articles which classify people with developmental disabilities as morons or idiots. Other official classifications have included mongoloid, epileptic, and retarded, which continue to be used, as well as other offensive terms that deliberately insult somebody's intellect. Today we know about the dehumanizing effects of labels. We know that all human beings deserve respect, not because of who they are or how much they make, but just because they are people. Labels create prejudice and misconceptions. Some people in our society are shunned by others because of labels placed upon them. Even worse, some people are neglected or even tormented because of those labels. Research tells us that the first words you hear describe a person are words you remember most clearly about that person. For example, when you hear autistic child, he's special, or retarded woman, the words imprinted on your mind are autistic, special, and retarded. People tend to remember this disability rather than the individual when this type of language is used. More desirable terms are a child with autism, a man with a disability, or a woman with mental retardation. These phrases are examples of people-first language, which focus on the person rather than the disability. People are more than their disabilities. People are more than their disabilities. They smile, they laugh, they are proud of the work they do. They are sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, husbands and wives. They are musicians, athletes, employers, and employees. They are homemakers, laborers, volunteers, and sponsors. Most important, they are people who have feelings. For that reason, if you must refer to a person's disability, use respectful, non-labeling language. Robert N. Hemphill once said, "I chose not to place dis in my ability." Labels imply the quality of being similar in class division. They lump people together. These terms seem to include that all people who may have a single characteristic in common, such as autism or mental retardation, are alike in every aspect. Labels lump people together, somehow reducing their individuality. For example, the statement, "Cynthia is a disabled adult," focuses on the fact that Cynthia has a disability rather than on Cynthia as an adult. What can be said instead? Cynthia as an adult with a disability is tolerable, but the best to say is Cynthia is an adult. Unless the discussion is about her disability, why does it need to be mentioned at all? Inclusion is a right and a responsibility, not a goal. People with disabilities have experienced degradation, separation, segregation, congregation, and in some cases, integration. Under the pretense of helping them, we have subjected them to testing, training, mainstreaming, categorizing, specializing, and normalizing. We have used psychology, psychiatry, astrology, mythology, and craniology, which is the science that deals with the size and shape of and other characteristics of the human skull, numerology, and physiology, trying to make sense to ourselves of whom, what, when, where, and why they are. Why do they exist the way they are? Sorry to say, most of our efforts have been toward trying to make people with disabilities more like us, whoever we are, instead of developing our appreciation of them. Our real effort should be directed at ourselves because what we seek from them is inclusion. Inclusion is a right, not a goal. To view inclusion as a goal, we accept that people who have historically been locked out and are now invited to come in. It assumes that someone has the authority to invite them in, and by that same authority, they have the right to lock them out. We must accept the overlooked fact that people with disabilities get in via the same method by which people without disabilities get in. They are in because they are born. There are no invitors and no invitees. Inclusion is recognizing that we are one, even though we are not the same. Every citizen born has a right to his or her own place in society. In the past, society has identified certain groups as being outside its norms. Such groups had differences either in abilities or appearance that the rest of society valued, doomed to failure. When society labels and separates a group, whether socially or physically, that group becomes less than human in the eyes of most. Misconceptions have arisen because people with apparent disabilities have been segregated. Many have lived their lives in closed environments, in institutions, private homes, in locked rooms, outhouses, even under houses, back rooms. As a result, they have not learned how to live in open society. Most things are learned through experience, and no one learns when not given the opportunity. If society were to embrace and support individuals who are different, it would minimize their devastation. As a society, we must take a stand for what is right. It is the genuine thing to do because, given the same circumstance, we would appreciate someone fighting for our rights to equally exist too. Therefore, I beseech you to close your eyes and imagine being in this state. A person who can't talk, a person who cannot walk, a person untaught, a person with no friends, a person with no family, a person all alone. Then imagine this being you.